What if the biggest development project in human history, a plan joined by more than 150 countries and worth trillions of dollars, was never just about development? What if the shiny airports, massive highways, and futuristic ports, promised to transform poor nations into the next Dubai or Singapore, actually turned into empty structures, rising debt, and broken dreams? This was China's most ambitious global plan, the Belt and Road Initiative, once called the project of the century, but today often described by critics as one of the most controversial geopolitical strategies ever created. The real question is, was this a gift of development to the world or a global power strategy hidden behind infrastructure? The story begins in 2013, when Chinese President Xi Jinping announced a bold vision to revive the ancient Silk Road by building a massive network of railways, highways, pipelines, and ports connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa. The goal was simple but powerful: boost global trade, help poor countries develop, and position China as the center of a new global economy. For developing nations struggling with weak infrastructure and limited investment, the offer was irresistible. While Western institutions often demanded strict conditions for loans, China offered fast funding, fewer restrictions, and massive investments. Countries rushed to join. Billions quickly turned into trillions of dollars in loans and projects. Governments dreamed of economic transformation, new jobs, modern cities, and rapid growth. But behind these promises, another reality slowly began to emerge, one that raised serious questions about debt, control, and global influence. As projects expanded across continents, critics argued that this was not just an infrastructure program, but a strategic move to expand China's economic and political power. China's industries had enormous excess capacity, too many factories, engineers, and construction companies. The Belt and Road Initiative provided an opportunity to export this capacity abroad while increasing global influence. The model was simple: provide loans to developing countries, use Chinese companies to build projects, and secure long-term strategic access to global trade routes. But there was a major risk: what if countries could not repay the loans? This is where the concept of debt trap diplomacy entered global debate. According to critics, countries that failed to repay loans could be forced to give control of key infrastructure, such as ports or energy facilities, to Chinese companies. Supporters denied this claim, calling it political propaganda. But several real-world examples intensified the controversy. One of the most widely discussed cases occurred in Sri Lanka. The government borrowed billions of dollars from China to build a massive deep-sea port, hoping to transform the country into a major trade hub. The project promised economic growth, international investment, and thousands of jobs. But the port failed to attract enough ships and generated very little revenue. As debt payments became impossible, Sri Lanka was forced to lease the port to a Chinese company for 99 years in exchange for financial relief. For many observers, this became the strongest example of how strategic assets could shift control when loans could not be repaid. And Sri Lanka was not alone. In Montenegro, the government took $1 billion Chinese loan to build a modern highway expected to boost trade and tourism. The construction involved cutting through difficult mountainous terrain, and costs rapidly increased. Eventually, the money ran out before the project could be completed, leaving only a short stretch of road that led nowhere while the country struggled with massive debt. The project shook Montenegro's economy and became a symbol of what experts call white elephant projects: expensive infrastructure with little real benefit. Today, the Belt and Road Initiative stands at a crossroads. It remains a revolutionary vision capable of transforming global connectivity and lifting millions out of poverty. For others, it represents a risky geopolitical experiment that has burdened vulnerable nations with debt and dependency. The truth may lie somewhere in between, a complex mix of opportunity, ambition, risk, and power. And that leaves us with the biggest question of all. Was this the greatest development project of the century, or the most ambitious attempt to reshape global power in modern history? The answer is still unfolding, and the future of global politics, trade, and economic development may depend on how this massive experiment ultimately ends.